Well, welcome to Ted Talks Guitars and Life. In this video, I'm going to show you the considerations that I made in replacing tuners on the Fesley Deluxe Edition Tease style guitar Telecaster for my grandson. So we're going to look at the parts that you need, questions you need to ask, and we're actually going to do the work together, man, on the channel, man. Come on along with the ride here, man. Let's get into it. Well, welcome back. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to talk about the tuner upgrade. Forgive the noise while I slide my chair. So, hey, if you like this kind of content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Come back and hang out with us some more, man, at Ted Talks Guitars and Life. A couple things just as we get started. Those who are familiar with the channel, man, great to have you on another journey with me as we tackle this Fesley Deluxe Edition Telecaster. Those who have never been to the channel, first time viewers perhaps, look, here's the thing. Nothing that I do is prescriptive for any of you. The mantra of the channel: you do you. However it is you want to roll in these things, man, you do you. That trumps all things here on the channel. None of this is prescriptive. It's just descriptive. It's just my journey through life and through guitars. Okay, so we're going to talk through this. You're going to see lots of things on my workbench. Okay, you're going to see things like drills with brand names, guitar strings with brand names. You're going to see stuff like Music Nomad stuff. Look, this is not a sponsored video in any way. Nothing that I'm showing you today was sent to me for review, nor is it sponsored in any way. I paid for all this stuff myself. And much of what I'm going to share today, I've learned kind of the hard way along the path, as it were. So let's talk about tuners for a moment. So you're going to need some tools as you tackle the tuner upgrade. Now let me say this about the tuner upgrade on the Fesley Deluxe Edition Telecaster. These tuners that came stock on this guitar are some of the worst tuners that I've seen on any kind of budget guitar. They just, I mean, they're shaky, you know. One of them is super loose. I think it was on the high E string, just kind of hanging on by a thread. So I knew this guitar, full disclosure, is for my grandson. It'll be his first electric guitar, that is, and I want it to be nice for him. So I'm setting the guitar up to my player preferences. So again, this is just what I do with guitars that I keep and play, or that I give to others along the way. So locking tuners. Do you need locking tuners? You do not need locking tuners. Are they nice? I prefer them. It just makes string changes easier, and some people say that's lazy, and guess what, man? You do you. So you're going to need some tools and some parts. Okay, so the first tool you're going to need is some kind of rubber mallet hammer. I don't even know who makes this. I just picked it up on Amazon. I remember it being reasonably cheap. You're going to need a drill, or whether it's a power handheld drill, or a power drill, or just some kind of screwdriver kind of drill, something like an Armor All, not sponsored video, that you could put some drill bits in. I actually have drill bits that fit this. I'm using it as a screwdriver today, multi-purpose. So you will need a screwdriver, and you're going to need drill bits, and you're going to need the whatever tuners you're going to upgrade to, and you're going to need the screws that go for the tuners. Now, here's the other thing that you're more than likely going to need. Okay, so if you compare these tuners, it's kind of like Sesame Street, gang. One of these things is not like the other. So there's two key differences. One is the screw locations are in different places. So on the back of this headstock, you'll see that it was drilled specifically for this style of tuners. Okay, and I can't put that on there with the ferrule attached. Drops down and the screw goes the only place the screw could go. Okay, now with these tuners, which I will describe in a moment, the screws go in a different location entirely. So that means two things. One, it means you're going to have to drill holes. If you get kind of a vintage style, so anything that you see like this on Amazon is not the same as this. So if you want to avoid drilling holes, then you can certainly purchase tuners that have the screw out here on the outer edge as opposed to horizontally. Okay, so that's you're going to need to drill some holes, so you're going to need a drill bit, you're going to need some kind of drilling apparatus, and some patience. Okay, you're also going to need some kind of ruler. Man, who cleans this place? Man, what is the deal? Yeah, anyway, I've got a ruler somewhere, and the ruler will come into play when you make sure that your tuners are in alignment. Now, this is also a very important distinction. So these tuners have what is called a nut washer ferrule. Those are not technical terms. I'm just describing something. So with these, when the tuners came, they had a screw here holding this in place. And then there was just a hole here, not this ferrule, and you would just simply drop the nut down and you would turn it. Okay, it's a 10 millimeter socket wrench. I use this, or there's any kind of needle nose pliers will get you in a pinch. Regular pliers will get you in a pinch. There's all kind of oh look, ruler. There's all kind of, I have a little 10 millimeter wrench somewhere that I got with something. It wasn't even a guitar product. Maybe, I don't know, a sofa or something with 10 millimeter nuts. Anyway, you're going to need something to tighten this down. But here's the thing. This guitar did not come with anything other than these. So what that meant was there was a season in this guitar's life when it had no ferrules. Okay, so if you don't have ferrules on the headstock, then you could screw this into the back of the guitar all day long, but there'll just be a gaping hole around it because there's no ferrule. So you need ferrules. This particular headstock is 10 millimeter wide ferrule holes. Okay, so you'll need a ruler. You're going to want to make sure, you may or may not know that yours is 10. And that's the hole, not the ferrule itself is pushing 13 millimeter. But that's just the overlap. Okay. Thus, you're going to need a hammer. Now, if you've got an 8 millimeter hole, a hammer ain't going to do you no good. So if you're going to buy ferrules, you need to buy the ferrules that come in either 8 mil or 8.5 mil or 10 mil or whatever it is. So when you take your old tuners out, you can either replace them with something, with this style of tuner. There's nothing wrong with the style of tuners, even that they're not locking tuners. These, I'm sorry, Fesley, these are just bad tuners. Okay, I just wouldn't I wouldn't give those to my grandson. Okay, so all right, so you're going to need to compare what kind of tuners do you need. You're going to need to consider whether or not you need ferrules. You're going to need to consider whether or not you want the plug and play style where everything aligns, or whether or not you've got what it takes to do some drilling. Okay, now again, by the way, the ferrules on this were Dopro metal chrome 10mm guitar tuner conversion bushings, i.e. ferrules. So, not a sponsored video. The other thing, the last thing is, and then we'll get to doing some work here, is that there is a cosmetic question. By the way, these are Music Lily tuners that I had laying around from another project that I was working on, and decided to go a different route. So that's the other thing, is that a lot of the parts that I use are parts that I have laying around the shop. So if you're on a super strict budget, well, count the cost, my friends. Count the cost. So you'll see that what we're going to have to do, and again, we'll have to get that perfectly aligned, is that you'll see that the screw holes are running perfectly horizontal, right? Or will. And you can still, can you see that? You could still make out the original holes. So you'll have considerations to make. One consideration to make is, are you going to fill these holes? Well, I don't know, Ted. Gee, how would I do that? Well, one good way of doing that is to get some kind of wood filler or bamboo toothpicks for the win. And so you'll just kind of put a break off the tip of the, here. I don't know if this is helpful, guys. Hey, you know what, man? If this is helpful to you in any way, would you please like the video so that I know that somebody, that this is helpful to somebody somewhere on the planet. And if you tuned in just to watch me screw tuners in, I'm sorry, not sorry about that, because it is important that we all be on the same page in reference to what we're going to have to do in the project. So I don't have a tool that I need handy, so I'm just going to snap this. Know that snapping it is not cool. Nothing I do is prescriptive. This is just for the sake of demonstration. So you'll see that the average toothpick will fit in that hole. Okay, so these are bamboo toothpicks. Shout out to Two Bike Mike. His recommendation to me some time ago, or to viewers some time ago, and I took it personally in a good way. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut the tip off of the Q-tip. It's not a Q-tip. Cut the tip off the toothpick. You're going to put it in the hole, and then you're going to take some kind of pencil, and you want to be very careful when you're making lines on the toothpick so as to not get it on the guitar itself. So that line is kind of faint, so I'll make it a little bit more. All right, so that much toothpick to fill that hole. Okay, now don't do anything. Wood glue, some people use like CA glue, super glue type stuff. I've always just used wood glue, and it seems to work out all right for me. So what you would do is you would put some wood glue on the toothpick, okay, while it's still in one piece. And then you're basically going to want to cram it in there. And if you want to tap on it, you can. Make sure you cut this tip off first. Oh, that's ugly. Don't do that. Use I was going to use my snippers, but I don't know where my snippers are. So, oh, there you go. That's close. It put a point on it, but on this end it doesn't matter. Okay, so I digress. So then, once you get everything positioned where you want it, oh, look what I found. Those and the 10mm wrench I was talking about. But I did not find my orange handled snippers that really work best for this. So anyway, so I guess there's a couple different ways you can go. Any kind of snippers like this that you have that have a flat bottom. So what you would want to do, and I'm not going to do it because here's something that maybe I learned the hard way. If you cut this and you've got glue in there, it ain't coming out without a lot of effort. Okay, so I'm not going to go down. So what you would do, let's say you put the wood glue all in here, right, and you crammed it down and you cut off the other tip already, or you cut that off and you want to tap on it a couple times just to get it really in there. That's cool, man. You can do that. It's not a problem. And then once it's seated, let it sit. Okay, you want the glue to harden. Okay, so after enough time for that to be really dry, then you would come down on the toothpick. You would get as close to the surface of the headstock without scratching it. And then you would just clip it. I'm going to clip it up here. And I always put my hand over things when I clip them because, yeah, man, you don't want projectiles flying around. Okay, and by the way, anytime you work on any kind of guitar related stuff, man, soldering or even what I just did, protective eyewear for the win. Okay, so you'll need to fill those holes. Okay, I don't think I'm doing that. Maybe I should. I've got time. I'm not on a deadline with this. So I think what I'm going to focus on today is I'm going to pre-drill the holes for the new Music Lily locking tuners and probably call it a day. And then the primer on the outside is probably dry and I can go do some other things out there and come back to the rest of this. You'll see it all back-to-back videos. You won't even know I'm gone. So okay, so let's say you did the wood glue, you got it in there, you snipped it, and so what you've got is a little bit, just a minuscule, depending on how close you can get to the headstock without scratching it. Then what you're going to want to do is take some sandpaper and very gingerly sand those down. Okay? Now you may accidentally scratch the back of the headstock doing that. Okay, so just be aware of that. And you know what? If you scratch the back of the headstock, you're going to need some kind of, or you might want to just put some stain on it or remedy that. You can find plenty of videos online about how to repair or refinish. Don't watch mine. Oh man, I got a guitar body that's giving me fits. Anyway, so that would be the process with that. And so though you could, all I'm saying is that you're swapping these tuners out. If you were doing what I'm doing, again, not prescriptive, descriptive of my journey, you will want to make a cosmetic call. Okay, do you want these to be visible or no? And if you don't want them to be visible, you need to plug them, wood glue, toothpick, snip them, sand it. You might have to touch up the stain on the back, and you will be good to go. Well, stick around, and what we'll do when I come back is we'll drill some holes, man. Hey, that sounds like a plan. Well, welcome back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drill some holes. So, a couple things that you're going to need for this. Now again, this is only applicable if you're purchasing tuners where the screw holes don't align. Okay. So these Music Lily locking tuners, I had them on another guitar, the FireFly Relic, for a season, and I like them okay. I think they were $20 something on Amazon. Not a sponsored video. So if you just buy something that looks like this, it's a lot less headache for you. Okay, it'll have the right screw hole, the right ferrule. The only thing, again, caveat, just make sure that you check the size of the hole. Okay, that said, if you're going to do this kind of deal, a couple things that you're going to need. So one, you'll see that I have the guitar neck propped up. So these are foam block sanding blocks. I have some cork blocks somewhere, I think they're outside, holding something else up. And I put some cloth over the sandpaper. And you want to be very careful anytime you lay the fretboard down, that it's on a towel or it's on some kind of a surface where it's not going to get scratched. Again, man, if you're going to work on guitars, things are going to get scratched, and so you'll figure out how to repair those as you go. Okay, the other thing that, the other reason that I propped this up, so this is a Telecaster neck, and so the headstock is flat, and so some headstocks are more angled, and you know, whatever you're dealing with might be somewhat different. But if this were sitting just on my mat here, I would not be able to get the other item that you'll need. I would recommend that you need. Nothing is prescriptive, okay? I'm just sharing. This is going to collect sawdust. And allow me to encourage you to get some kind of little baggie and save any sawdust that you can as you work on guitars. Because that sawdust, the other thing that you could do is that you could fill the holes with sawdust and with wood glue. Okay, so just know that best practice in my world is to save sawdust. The other thing that you're going to need is some kind of long, thin, pointy apparatus that once you've got your tuners lined up, you can stick in the middle of the hole and lightly press to mark the holes. Now, let me encourage you not to, at this point, take this tuner off and try to hit that hole with a drill. Okay? Best practice, in my world, again, not prescriptive, descriptive, maybe it'll be helpful, maybe it won't, is that you always keep the tuners and the ruler in alignment. Okay, that will help you keep things straight. Okay, so I used a very thin nail, and I've put a little bit of a puncture in the headstock. Not very much, just a little bit. And then I had a drill. I have my drill, and I've got this little tape on here. That is my warning indicator. I don't want to drill past that. Okay, there's a couple of different reasons. One is the screw that I'm going to use is only so long. And the second reason for doing so is that you don't want to drill, if you drill too deep, you're going to come out the other side of this headstock and life is going to be ugly. So it's going to get kind of loud here for a minute. So I've got my little pin pricks, as it were. You could use maybe a safety pin, you could use a nail. I've seen people put a nail in and tap it a couple times. Any kind of pointy thing and you're just trying to help your drill bit. Okay? I've already done the first hole here, so I'm going to move to the second one and do it in real time with you. And look, guys, if you've been on the channel before, man, you've seen me mess some things up. Hopefully we won't do that today. Now, let me note that I am not applying a lot of force. I'm attempting to let the drill do the drill's job. Then I will reverse it and pull it out. Okay, so now, don't just yank these out, because sawdust is going to go everywhere. Boy, that sounds prescriptive. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to help. And then again, I would strongly encourage you to keep your sawdust. And I know that doesn't look like a lot of sawdust, but you'll be surprised, man, if you do any kind of repairs on guitars, little scratches and dents and whatnot, you'll be surprised at how having some sawdust laying around will serve you well. I tell you what, I'm going to drill the rest of these. I don't think you need to watch that, and I'm not sophisticated enough to fast forward, so stand by. Well, welcome back. So, off camera, I went ahead and, sorry man, my primer situation, let's just say we had an issue. Okay, so off camera, in between coats of primer, I have put all the screws in the guitar. Now, a couple things that are important as it relates to this. One is that you want the screws to be tight, but you don't want to over tighten the screws. Okay, you're not building a space shuttle, you know. It's just holding the tuners in place, man. You want it to be taut. And again, the whole time I've done this, I have held this ruler horizontal with the tuners. Now, a couple things to keep in mind here. One is, why am I not using this? Well, for me, again, guys, nothing I do is prescriptive for you. That seems laborious to me. I've got tilt, I've got issues. I would lay it completely flat, as a Telecaster neck likes to lay. However, because I wanted clearance, plenty of clearance for the tuning pegs, I've just got it propped up here. And again, I've got the fretboard sitting on a series of towels, primarily because from time to time, while I'm working, it may slide off my mat onto the table. And here's another thing, guys. Nothing I do is prescriptive, right, to you. I think we've established that already. But a couple of tips. One, keep your sawdust. You may need that. Two, clean your tools up as you go. So this is a do as I suggest, not as I do. I'm basically leaving the tools out on the workbench at the moment because I want you to have the benefit of being reminded of all the kinds of tools that we have used. The drill bits, the hammer, the screwdriver, the 10mm wrench, the nail, the toothpick, the ruler, so on and so forth. So a couple of questions you may have had. One question was probably, how do I know how deep to put the screw hole, the pre-hole in the headstock for the new tuner screws that holds things in place? One. And two, how do I know what size drill bit to use? So if you have your handy ruler, what you can do is you can establish that this tuner, the bottom, the thickness of this tuner off the headstock is 2 mil. So whatever measurement you're about to take for the screw to drill, where to put the little blue tape, you want to add 2 mil to it. Okay? So you just want to assume the first 2 millimeters, which is, you want to subtract that from the total length of the screw. Okay, so it's the length of the screw minus 2 millimeters, and you can, again, not prescriptive, you can get rulers out and all that, you can eyeball it, but as soon as you know the depth of the screw minus the 2 mil for the thickness of the tuner, that's 2 mil that you're not going to be in the headstock, is what I'm saying. And then you'll tape off your little drill bit. I shouldn't have taken that off for illustration purposes. And if you leave it kind of long like this, it's more difficult. I should have let you watch me put the screws in, because it's kind of a laborious deal, where you've got to hold the ruler, and the sun will be in your eyes, and the wind will be blowing your hair, and you'll have to get the screw in between the two tuning machines, and you'll have to screw it down and hold it flush and all the things. It's doable. Okay, don't be afraid of it. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. Okay, but just know that that is a thing. Okay, now in terms, the other thing that you need to think about, you need to think about depth. Okay, so it's the length of the screw minus 2 mil that's not going to go in the headstock. Okay, second consideration is, and you can look, you can Google this, you can find other vids and get other opinions. Okay, I'm just sharing with you my journey, how I approach things. None of this is prescriptive. Okay, I think we've established that. So what I do is I measure with my ruler the thickness of the screw and the thickness of the drill bit. And if I don't have an exact match, I tend to go a little bit smaller than larger. Okay, if you drill the hole too large, I'm not trying to scare you, okay? I'm just letting you know that if you drill the hole too big, then you're going to have to do the wood glue sawdust toothpick trick. Now, here's the other thing. All the screws that I've seen, I've got a little box here of parts. Okay, every manufacturer is a different size. Okay, so it depends on the brand, it depends on the manufacturer, it depends on the tuners. So when in doubt, use the screws that came with the original tuners. Now sometimes, as is the case with this, the original screws had a bigger head on them, and because of the style of tuners that I have selected for this build, rebuild, kit build project, I went ahead and replaced the screws. So again, the size of the drill bit, the depth of the drill bit, mark your drill bit, collect your sawdust, if you don't mind me giving you some encouragements along the way, secure your tuners, and you're done. Now, if you have a headstock that doesn't have any holes already, you won't have this problem. You see how you could see the original holes? So I've got to make a decision about that cosmetically. Am I okay with those holes being seen, or do I need to seal those up? If it were just my guitar to have around the house, and to my context is worship kind of bands, men's retreats, church, you know, that kind of thing. I'm not playing Carnegie Hall. I don't need a perfect looking headstock. I care more about how the guitar plays than the brand or any other factors, really. How it plays, how it sounds in my ears, how it feels in my hands, whether or not I want to pick it up and play it. Those are the factors that I care about more. So if it plays well to me and to my ears and to my hands, I don't care about these holes. Now, this is a gift from my grandson, so I am more than likely going to fill those holes now that I've got plenty of time waiting for primer to dry once again. But that is the process. That is how I replace the tuners on the Fesley Deluxe Edition Telecasters. So locking tuners are installed, and I believe that I mentioned in a previous vid that they had just the string trees on it that nobody likes. I don't know why so many guitar companies, well, I think I probably do know why. It's probably the cheapest way to go. It had these little kind of things on it here. And look, if those work for you, man, guess what? You do you, man. Rock on with your bad selves. I don't like that. It creates friction for the string on the edges of that. I don't like it. So I do have somewhere in my bag of tricks over here, I probably have some rolling string guides, and I probably have a couple of Fender string guides. Not that it needs to be Fender. Buy what you want to buy. You do you. But the main thing is that you're going to want something by way of string guides that does not give friction on the strings. Well, if I could lay my hands on the string guides, I'd show them to you, but I can't lay my hands on them. I've got to clean my area, man. This is sort of embarrassing. Well, man, it's been great to hang out with you. Man, thanks for coming on this journey with me, and wherever you are in your guitar journey, man, I pray it's a long, smooth, safe, joy-filled ride for you, Jack. Rock on with your bad selves. I'll catch you down the road.